Okay, second graders, we are going to make our elements of art design. We just finished taking some notes about the elements. We talked about each element and what its definition was. Now we're going to make a visual of it. So this is what our finished artwork is going to look like. We're going to fill in all of these spaces. If you have your picture that was sent home in your remote learner supplies, you can get that. If not, it is on Blackboard. It may not print out this large. It may print out just on the size of a piece of paper, but you still can do all the steps. It just won't be as big. So our first one is going to be the first letter E. In that letter E, we're just going to write all the elements of art. And you can use your marker or your colored pencils or your crayons, whichever you'd like. But we're just going to write each word in there so we know what they all are. So we're going to have line, shape, color, texture, and I'm putting texture down here because it's a little bit longer word so it fits better. Line, shape, color, texture, value, and space. The order you put them in really doesn't matter. We're just getting them all on there so we know what they all are. So we should have 7. I'm missing one. Oh, I know what I'm missing. Form. So there's 7 terms. Okay. That's in the first letter E. Now you can take your time and make this a little bit more creative by putting your using different colors and things like that, but for time I'm just using one color. Then in the first letter L here, we're going to put lines, all different types of lines. So on our notes we saw that there were a lot. We also talked about that there's probably a bazillion different types of lines. So I'm just filling this letter with some different types of lines. If you want to repeat the lines, that's okay. But maybe try to come up with some of your own for that one. This next letter E is going to be for shape. We're going to fill that with different types of shapes. We're going to stick with just geometric shapes. We did talk really briefly about organic shapes, but those are a little bit trickier to draw. So I'm just going to stick with my triangle, my circle, squares, rectangles, and again, if you want to switch colors and use different markers or colored pencils or crayons, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to just stick with triangle, circle, square, rectangle, and diamond, just those easy geometric shapes. And again, I'm going to fill up the whole letter with those examples. The next one is the M. This is going to be for form. Now this one's a little bit trickier, so I'm going to go line by line and let you have a chance to follow along with me. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this M look like it's 3-dimensional. Even though 3-dimensional means that it is a form, which means it has some thickness to it, so it has height, width, and depth. We can't really have that on a flat piece of paper because everything on paper is flat. So it can look like it, but it's really not a form. It's just looking like a form. It's the idea of a form. So we're going to do this. I'm going to do this together with you. I'm going to kind of leave that one up at the top there so you can see it, and I'll refer back and forth. So we're going to work on just the black part. We're not going to do anything to the letter. We're just going to work on the black part. So I'm going to draw a line straight down from the corners of the M, making them all about the same length. Then I'm going to connect them. Then I'm going to come straight down from the end of this point of the V, of the M, I mean. And then I'm going to connect that. And this one's a little bit trickier because we don't see this side of the M, we only see this side of the M. So I'm just going to go straight back. I'm going to draw a line coming out of this point and a line coming out of that point. And then I'm just going to follow up, stopping and picking up. And then I'm going to color that in using the cut the grass technique, which is going down and back, trying to fill in the area. So as you color, you go down and back and down and back. You don't scribble scrabble in the area because then you could accidentally go outside the lines, or you may not fill it in all the way. And this side over here does get cut off because the E is on top of it. Okay. Then the next E is color. And again, you can use different tools if you want. I'm going to grab out my colored pencils. I can find them all. So I'm going to need red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. And I'm just going to create a rainbow. And you can do this in all sorts of different ways. I'm going to start at the top and color down, but if you want to go this way with it, or you want to go on a diagonal, that's fine too. And again, you could use your markers, you can use your crayons. I'm just using colored pencils because they color a little bit quicker. So I'm going to do a little bit of red. A little bit of orange. You got to think it through a little bit so you budget out your space and you don't run out of room before you're done with your colors. Yellow. And green. Whoa, my pencil got away from me there. Green, then blue. And my last color is violet, also known as purple, but when we're fancy in the art room, we call it violet. And then we're done with color. N is going to be space. Space is when things move back, or they appear to be coming out, or overlapping. So we're going to make it look like it's traveling into space. So we have this, it'll look like this when we're done. So we're going to pick a spot anywhere on the letter. I'm going to use my colored pencil. I'm going to make a dot right there. Then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw lines coming out of that dot. My trick is I always put my pencil on my dot and then I bring my ruler to it. So my pencil's on my dot, then I bring my ruler to it. And then I just move my ruler around. And I'm not trying to line up my ruler with the very tip of it. That's just too hard to try to match those up. So pencil on the dot and then move the ruler. And I'm using like the middle of the ruler. Now this one, when I draw it, it's going to jump over to the other side of the end. There's no limit on how many lines you put, but the more you put, the more time it's going to take, so you're going to have more to do. That's your N, that's space. Your T is going to be value. Value is the lightness and darkness of a color. We're going to do that by just taking either a color pencil or a crayon, preferably a darker color. I'm going to grab out this blue-green, my favorite color, and I'm going to, by pressing harder, I'm going to create a darker value of that color. So I'm going to press kind of hard with my crayon, and as I'm working my way down my T, I'm lightening up my pressure. I'm not pushing as hard with my crayon, so I'm barely coloring on the surface. And as I get all the way to the bottom, you can see that it's almost the white of the paper. So I got a lot lighter. So I was heavier at the top, lighter as I went to the bottom. Okay, the last one is texture. This one, if you're in class, is going to be kind of easy for you because I'm going to give you a texture screen. This says texture on it. If you don't have this, or you're at home, you may need to go find something that's got texture on it. So you have to walk around your house and feel things to see if there's texture on it. So if I feel this, I could feel it. You could also hear it. But you're going to walk around your home looking for something that has texture on it. And you know where one really good place, and it's really easy to find, is outside. Either your sidewalk or your paver patio. Those will have texture on them for sure. So I'm just going to lay my paper on top of my texture plate. If you are at home, you will go take this paper outside and find that texture. Or inside, might be inside. And then this works best with crayons. So I'm going to grab a crayon and I'm going to hold the paper and the texture screen, and I'm just going to rub over it with my crayon. So I'm coloring inside the letter S, but on the texture plate, or in your case at home, on whatever surface you have found to have texture. And now you have your texture. And the last thing we're gonna do, because this is for the elements of art, we just have the elements right now, so we need to just finish it up by writing the words of, O-F, art. And this is where you can be creative and do it however you would like. When you are all done, this is yours to take home and hang on your wall so that you'll always remember the elements of art.